Hey, so I'm starting a blog today. I want to do a full review and blog about the Kia Sportage 2020. And I wanted to start out though, maybe it'll be two blogs, but I'm sitting in the car, but I wanted to talk about how good God is, because He gives us way more than we can ever dream. He is a good and loving Father. And we something has happened in our lives that has enabled us probably to be able to pay for IVF. And since neither of us could have a baby naturally, we're very, very excited and believing for the two twin girls that God promised me 7 years ago. 7 years ago, we were in church with a faith healer and we were praying, and lots of miracles were going on, and God promised us, and we've had it prophesied several times about us with babies. And God has finally opened up a door where we're probably going to be, we are going to be, I shouldn't say probably, but we are going to be able to have babies. And we had a small car. We had a Sandero, which is a Renault, which is a French car. So most of you Americans probably aren't even going to know this car. It's a very cheap car, and it was roughly around $15,000. I don't think they even sell a car in America for that price. So yeah, it wasn't a very expensive car, but for us it was a great car. It was our second car. Our first car was the Renault Logan, which is like more of a sedan. The second one is like it's like a little mini hatchback. It was, cute. And it was kind of like a Ford Festiva, I guess, if you want a reference in for the U.S. people. And it was a blessing. Both cars were miracles, how we got both of those cars. And both cars were miracles. Both cars, God opened up doors. But this time around, we wanted something that was taller, because putting baby seats in a back seat, I've had that experience with friends who are, had babies and stuff. They used to always say, "Oh, let's take your Jeep." When I had my Jeep, if somebody was babysitting a girlfriend or something, because they're like, "My car is so low, it's so hard to get the baby in it." So I knew right then and there that you needed a taller car. So we started looking at taller cars. And the first car we actually looked at, just kind of as a lark, not, it was more, let's daydream for a minute. And we looked at the BMW 2 Series, and it's a really beautiful car, and it's actually about the same price, a little tiny bit more than what we paid for this. And I was really in love with it. I liked a lot of the features of it. I liked actually that it had a third row of seats. So, because I was thinking, if God really gives us, when God gives us the twins, we need seating, and I could always sit in the third row of seats and let somebody have the other seat and stuff like that. But we looked at it. We looked at the CR-V. We looked at the Toyota RAV, which are both absolutely beautiful cars. I'm not going to say anything bad about them. It's different buying cars, I will say, in Colombia, though, than in buying a car in the U.S. Because cars that, like, if you look at the list prices of this car, RVs, CRVs, and other different cars, Ford, we also looked at Ford. And if you look at the prices, they are about the same in the U.S. But in Colombia, the Honda and the RAV4 were very expensive. And so, we thought they were out of our league. And that's another thing, though. It's really interesting because you think that things are out of your league, but with God, they aren't. We had looked at the RAV4 and the RAV4, and actually the RAV4, the BMW Series 2, and the Honda are all pretty much the same price. And I'm talking the top of the line cars. I'm not talking like the lower end cars. And so we looked at all these cars and we thought that they were out of our line. And so we started looking at the Ford EcoSport, which the Ford EcoSport was a little bit bigger than our car. It was a little bit higher than our car. And we were kind of excited about it until you drove it. And then there was like no get up and go with that car. There was, it was automatic, which was a big step up from we were in a stick car. And it had probably more get up and go than our Sandero, but it didn't have the get up and go I expected from a Ford and I'm a Ford girl. I grew up with Mustangs, so, I'm not going to rag on a Ford. I really like them, but it wasn't for us. And so we started looking and thinking maybe a Ford Escape, because Ford actually approved us for way more than we thought that we would ever be able to be approved for. And it was like, whoa. And it's not just that you got approved, but we, the monthly payment was a lot less than we expected. So we were like, oh, we can even finance more. So then we started thinking we'll update to an Escape. And so we were kind of considering Escapes, and we saw this Kia Sportage in the mall. And I absolutely fell in love with the Kia Sportage. I was like, oh my God. And it was so funny because the Ford Escape was right next to it in the mall. They had the Ford Escapes on one side and the Kias on the other side. And Jorge would go back and say, no, the Escape is better because it's got this. And I would say, no, the Sportage is better because it's got this, and blah, blah, blah. And finally I wore him down and made him agree. It was on a holiday, so the car dealerships were all closed. And so I we just had to wait. And so we went the next day, and as soon as we drove it, it was such a difference. And I've always wanted a sunroof, which I don't know. Can you see my beautiful sunroof? Can you see it? I've always wanted a sunroof. The RAV4 had a big sunroof like this, but I don't know if it's quite this big, but the RAV4 did have a big sunroof. The CRV only had half of the roof, which the CRVs in the US, cars in Colombia are different, and what you can get is different. So, and the thing that I didn't like about the BMW was it did have a nice, big, beautiful sunroof, but it only had like this little netting that the sun could still come through in the 2 Series. And there are times, because this girl's fair skinned, I don't want to be driving around at 11, 12 o'clock with my sunroof or any kind of sun exposure on my face, because even with sunblock, this girl burns. So anyways, so those were different issues. And like I said, all the cars that we looked at were beautiful and wonderful, and praise God for the people that can afford them and get them, and I'm happy for them, and I'm not trying to say my car is better than some other car. I'm just saying we looked at these other ones, but me and my husband just fell in love with this Kia. And so, but the first dealership, he was like, oh, that's the high end, we saw the high end car, and he's like, that's a high end car, you can't afford that. You don't want that. We'll get you the middle of the line. And I was like, I really didn't like his attitude. So we went to the other Kia place, because there's only 2 Kia's places in, there's several different locations, but there's only 2 owners of Kia in all of Cali. So we went to the second one, and I went straight for the top of the line and looked in it. And my husband did not tell me this, but he said the minute he sat in the 2020, he was in love. And he was like, oh, I want that car. We can't get it. It's going to be too much. And the price was way too much. And so we saw this 2019. It was the Kia Sportage 2019 in the top of the line, which in, I think it was called Triumph in Colombia. Colombia, they name their cars different. And this isn't just Kia that does this. I've noticed in other cars too. The name in the US will be different. And we started doing research. We started going on YouTube. We started Googling, you know, the Kia Sportage. Is it a good car? Is it a bad car? And we were Googling and we were watching videos on Kia Sportage, Ford Escape, which we still really, really liked, and the BMW, and CRV, and the RAV4. So those were like our things. But the RAV4 and the CRV was just, to get the top of the line with all the leather and all of the bells and whistles, it just was out of our price. It was. I mean, it really was. And honestly, and my sister had a CRV, and so I love CRVs. I get in a CRV and I think there's something about a CRV. But oh my gosh, I still was more in love with the Kia. So I was thinking we could get the 2020, and they just would not come off. And I still have no idea the reasoning behind the pricing, because they actually took the 2019 up to the same price as the 2020, and then they only knocked $4 million off, which in American money, that's a little over $1,000, which I'm like, no. This is a 2019. You got to go down more. And I fell in love with that car when I sat in it. And I actually like the wheels better on the 2019. Jorge likes the 2020 wheels better. So that's good, because I really don't care about wheels, if you really want to know the honest truth. But anyways, God just was working this whole time, because he was expanding our mind and just showing us. And they even offered us an even better financing than Ford did, much better rate, much better terms, and a lot more money. And so we were like, this can be done. And then I had money saved up that my husband didn't know about, that I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but it ended up, we put it all down on the car. And we did. I mean, but God provided everything, and the devil fought this so bad. We had a ticket that we didn't know about in Piendamo, and this is how the devil works. Jorge got a ticket, I don't know how long ago, 6 months ago. We don't even know when he got it, because we've never gotten a notice of it to pay it. And he got another ticket like almost a year ago, and it did take them about 6 months to tell us about it. So I have no idea when this happened, that we got this ticket. And in Colombia, if you have a ticket against you, you can't get your license plate. So basically, you can't get your car. And so, and then also, Jorge, I don't know how we did this, but we forgot to pay the taxes. You have to pay taxes every year. And so, because we didn't pay the taxes, and because the taxes were late for every year for 3 years, when we turned in our Renault, it was double what it should have been. And he even went and tried to get forgiveness for it and everything, and he couldn't. But all of that money was covered and paid for. We had more than enough to pay the taxes, pay the stupid speeding ticket or whatever it was that we did in Piendamo, that we don't even know what we did. And everything was, I mean, God covered everything. And we got a 2020 from less than what they were asking for the 2019s. And what happened was, basically, Jorge, we wanted the car, and we decided what we were going to get, and Jorge saw online a 2020, and he wrote and talked to the person that had put it online. And so they were here in Cali, so we went, and they wrote, I mean, an outrageous price. So we got this 2020 for less than you can get, not just a 2019, but even a 2018. And they honored everything, and we got free insurance for a year. They didn't charge us for the paperwork, which, you know, car dealers always like to overcharge you for the paperwork, and they definitely were trying to overcharge us at the first place. And we got everything we wanted. We got the bigger wheels. We got everything that we wanted in the car. And it just blows my mind, because we were looking at this little EcoSport, which is like half the size probably of this car. It wasn't quite as tall, so it wouldn't be as easy to put car seats in. And that honestly and truly, that was my first priority. I went and saw a car, and the first thing I did was I looked in the back seat and I asked, do you have the, is this car ready for car seats? Because they don't have the car seat laws in Colombia. So you can still hold a baby in your arms or put, a 3-year-old on the seat and not, buckle them up. In Colombia, it's no problem. But, I'm like, my babies are going to be in car seats. And my children are going to be in car seats. So, as they grow up. And so that was like, the first thing I did was check out the back seat, check out the head space in the clearing in the back seat, so that I would know that it would be easy or not for me to get the babies in the car seats in the car. And that I did that in every car that we looked at. Every car dealer will say, she's probably the first person I ever saw that went immediately to the back seat. And so, but it has everything that we wanted, and God gave us way more, because if we'd have settled and we had just, not dreamed and dared to dream even bigger when we saw, we would have been happy with the EcoSport probably, but God had something so much better for us. And that's why sometimes, something doesn't work out for you, and that's fine, because you know what? God's got something better coming. I can say the same thing about our apartment. I cried over having to leave our other apartment. I loved our other apartment. It was absolutely a beautiful little apartment, and it was smaller than our new apartment though, and it had the river. It had the river running by it, and we had our own personal yard, which I loved. We had our own personal private yard with our apartment. It was a beautiful little apartment. The people, our neighbors were nice. The guards were nice. And I literally cried. And the day I moved into my new apartment was the day I realized, oh my God, I was like blown away, because I never saw the apartment the size that it was until I was trying to run from room to room to room with the movers and saying, put this in here, put that in there. And I was like, oh, and you can tell me dimensions, and you can tell me, like, this apartment is so many square feet, that apartment is so many square feet. I can't picture it. And really and truly, that is just how God is, though. He gave us a bigger, better, more beautiful apartment, and now He's given us a car that's worth, we paid twice as much. Our original car was 45 million, I think, with the Renault, and 3 years ago. And so it's probably now in the 50s somewhere, and we paid, a little bit around twice as much as our old car. So we thought we were going to go up like 20 million, which is roughly $6,000 to $7,000 more. We thought we'd knock it up like that much to get the because we also wanted automatic. I did not want another stick, because we drive in city all the time, and we're in horrible traffic, and you're constantly having to stop. So you're constantly having to go first, second, third, fourth, first, second, third, fourth, back to first, stop at a light, stop for this, stop for that, slow down, down to second, down to first, up to third, and you're constantly having to shift, like, the whole time you're in the car, and you just, it gets boring, it gets annoying. So, and but God gave us a car that's, the value is twice as much. The size, I don't think it's double, but it feels double. But that was God. God pushes you. God gently guides you. And so when things aren't working, and like things are kind of, moving, pay attention to what God is showing you, and dare to dream. That's another thing. Dare to dream. God loves dreamers. God loves the people that want and dream for more. And he's a generous daddy. He doesn't want, to give you just the basics and the minimum. It even says it in the Bible. There's so many verses about expand your tent, and different things in the Bible about I'm going to give you good things. And so you have to dare to dream. So many people, we were almost limited. We dared to dream in that we looked at cars that were out of what we thought was our price range. But in the end, he brought a car that was out of our price range into our price range, and we would have never even known it if, we hadn't dared to ask or dared to dream about it. And so that is the message really that I want to give hope to today. Maybe you're, God is just not, the big old, put a coin in and a candy bar comes out. No, he's not a vending machine, but he does want you to dream. So maybe your dream is to go to school. Well, dare to dream, but you have to make the move. You have to go forward to that dream. You have to apply to the school you want to go to. You have to, look into the financing that would be involved to go in the school that you want to go to. Whatever it is, dare to dream it. You want a new job? Dare to dream it. Start applying for that job. Don't just sit there and say, I wish I had a new job. I want a new job. That's not going to get you anywhere. And God, my first job, God sent somebody onto a mountain, out in the middle of nowhere to a farm, and had us walking down the road just at the right time so we would meet these people. And I got my first job in Columbia. So, God will, take care of it if it's that kind of situation where you're, you don't even know where to look and everything. He will point you. He will push you. He will show you different doors that will say, this is the way. So, but you do have to walk through those doors. I could have said, no, that's, going to Popayán, I'll have to take a bus. I'm an American, I don't drive buses, every day. So, we sometimes stop the blessings that God has to offer us because maybe it isn't 100% what we think it is, what we want. For example, with my first job, I had to get up before 5 o'clock. I had to be outside in the cold, in the rain, in the whatever weather it was, and beg for a bus to stop. And usually, because it was early in the morning, I could get a seat down, but sometimes I was standing up, riding down to another little town. Then in that town, I got on another bus, and then I had to ride another 50 minutes, 60 minutes to my job. And then I had to walk. And the one thing I remember about Popayán is my feet were always wet because it was always raining, always wet. And no matter what shoes you had on, they always got wet. So my feet were freezing cold and wet all day, every day. And, for that job. But that job was a huge blessing. It opened up so many doors. It gave us our first apartment. I have so many wonderful stories about it. And that's what I'm trying to say today is that the sun. I think I got to turn on the car a little bit and close this. Oh, baby. So you can see it just moves so nice, and boom, there. And that's another thing. It's black on top, which I like. That was one of the things the 2020 has over the 2019 is the 2019 is a light roof, and we have the black roof, and I like that. So anyways, I hope today this message is giving you some hope to dare to dream, whatever your dream is, whatever your hope is, whatever your wish is. It could be something small. You can be wishing to find your own apartment and in your price range, but a nice apartment in a nice area. Dare to dream it. And God bless you. This is Candy with Blessed Life. If you like this video, please like it. Subscribe, because I am going to be doing videos as much as possible. I'm going to start. I'm dedicated. I am going to do a tour video of this car, but I think I'm going to go park it somewhere pretty, because when I walk around it, I want to show it somewhere pretty. And we've got this farm next to us, and it's pretty. And my husband loves to see it. But, you know, the barbed wire just really doesn't do it for me. So, have a great day. Have a blessed day. And see you soon.